Most designers see accessibility as a burden and a hassle to have to deal with. And do I blame them? No. There's a lot that goes into consideration when it comes to accessibility in design. As a designer who's dedicated my whole career to accessibility in design, let me share with you the top mistakes that I think designers are making and that they're overthinking when it comes to accessibility in design. The first thing I think that designers are getting wrong is that accessibility is so boring and it makes my design so drab and just not aesthetic. And while I can see where you're coming from when you think that, because it kind of limits some things that you can do in your designs, there's so many different ways that you can work around the accessibility standards to also still make something that's beautiful and functional and works well for a larger variety of people. The second thing that people get wrong is that designs that are accessible are only created for a small group of people. The majority of the people don't use those features, so why would I waste my time working on making something accessible that's not going to be valuable for a large amount of people? So let's break this down a little bit. We have 1 out of 6 people who have a permanent disability in their lifetime. So these designs are affecting 1 in 6 people. And then we go to temporary disabilities. There's a lot of different times when someone will have a temporary disability where they also will need accommodations for a short period of time. And so they also benefit from these accommodations, and it doesn't mean they have to use them their whole life, but there's a period of time where it will definitely help them. And then the third category is situational. There's lots of different scenarios where someone can benefit from using accommodations that were made for people with disabilities that they can benefit from. Some simple, easy ones would be when you use captions, when you can't listen to audio, or you're in a really loud place and you can't hear it in the first place, or maybe you just prefer to be able to look at a transcript and review over what a video says. There's also a lot of people who use screen readers. The majority of them are people who have visual impairments or blind, but there's other people who just prefer to listen to what's being shown because of cognitive overload, or that's just their preferred way of ingesting information. Another situation would be maybe the power goes out and you don't have as much light as you normally would, and so you have to find different ways to do things that you normally would. I've made a whole video talking about temporary, permanent, and situational disabilities and how vision's a spectrum. So I'm gonna go ahead and link that video if you wanna hear more about that in depth. Beyond people who have disabilities, there's also designs that benefit everyone regardless of their ability. For example, we all use Gmail, we use text. These were created for people with disabilities originally, and now we all use them. The third mistake that I see people making is just having an accessibility checklist and checking off the boxes and saying, all right, it's accessible, let's move on. We've done what we can to make it accessible. While I am not saying don't do your checklist and check things off, I am saying that it goes beyond the checklist and we need to be doing tests and sharing our designs with people who have disabilities and other users to ensure that it's working how we intended it to work. And naturally, things will fall through the crack if you're just doing a checklist and not really testing it and making sure that it works right. Mistake number 4 is when designers assume that you're done with accessibility once you've created your design. So there's 2 parts of design. There's design stage and development stage, and accessibility needs to be considered on both sides of this to ensure that things are accessible. Now there's things we can do in the design phase like color contrast, looking at fonts and weights and hierarchy and spacing and all the things we learn in design school. But then you also have to look at the development afterwards. So whether it's a website or it's a social media post, you're printing it, you need to take into account a whole nother set of criteria when looking at the development of it. So does it work for a screen reader? Does it have alt text set for it? Does it work on multiple browsers? Is there anything that your users are bringing up once they start using your design that you need to adapt and change in order to fix those issues? All right, the fifth myth is the opposite of the fourth one, which is all accessibility is done at the end of the process. So I can create my design and just worry about accessibility later. I don't need to worry about it while I'm designing. That's just done at the end, and especially if I can just hand it off to a developer, then we'll be all good, right? Like I said, there's the design phase and the development phase, and we make sure that we're considering things in both parts of this. I've actually found throughout my career that projects where accessibility wasn't really considered at the beginning of the process and then just retrofitted at the end, it caused a lot more problems. You had to go back and fix it when people were ready to move on to the next project, and then it costs even more money because you already spent the money on your budget for the design, but then they have to go back and open the budget to fix things, and then it gets a little modge-podgey and it's a little chaotic, and the design can get really janky. Versus if you take that into consideration throughout the design process, then it has a better flow with it, and you don't have to worry so much about going back and furiously trying to fix everything to make it accessible. Accessibility can be overwhelming, but the more you work on it, the easier it's gonna get. Nothing is as frustrating as not being able to access a design because of how the person who created it made it, not because of the disability, but because there was barriers that were put between me and being able to use it. And it's our responsibility as designers to make sure that our designs are created in a way that people have equitable use of our designs. I think it can be such a rewarding thing to see a wide variety of people benefiting from my designs. I'd love to hear in the comments below if you can think of an experience when you had a barrier that prevented you from using a design and what that experience was like for you. For me, it's the small things in my day-to-day life, where if I can't read the prescription on my pill bottle to make sure that I'm not taking the wrong amount, or being able to read the ingredients on a food label so that I can make sure that I'm not eating a food that I'm allergic to or that I don't want to be putting in my body. I think it's important for us as designers to remember that we're not going to be able to create designs that always work for everyone. That's just not realistic. But if we do our best to evaluate who our design is excluding and then design for those people, then we can make the design work for more people. And then there's always going to be gaps where it doesn't work for everyone, and that's when accessibility accommodations come in. And that's why alt text, screen readers, being able to tab through with just a keyboard all come into account and fill in those gaps and make it so that it's accessible for a wider range of people. We're removing barriers by providing accessibility accommodations that make it so that they can use your design, maybe not in the original way you intended it, but in a way that's equitable and they're able to access it, instead of just they can't use it because there's no way to make this work for that group of people. Well, I hope this video was helpful for you. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel below. It's free and it will tell you when I post more videos similar to this one. I hope that you all have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!